Yes.
I look okay, right?
Yeah, you look great on camera. Me, I always just look like I'm on drugs the whole time. Like I'm being fed
Wait, get rid of the
drugs.
newspaper 130 there. Erase that.
It says you're waiting for intent on. Okay, I'm just waiting. But are you alone?
So we have it on.
Can you see us?
I'm trying to. I gotta pull it up. I don't see you.
You don't?
No, but
Should
trust
I
me,
turn off the light above because it's got this big ugly glare? People be like, man, these people don't know nothing about
Oh no,
cinematography.
I see. Hold on.
That's better.
I think this is better.
You love.
Should open up those
Huh?
blinds. Could you open those blinds to get that light in there? Could you just turn it? Just turn it, because then you get that light. And
He's making me get up with a bad leg.
just behind the scenes, people.
I'm relieved I can
Just,
take off
just
my
the
sweater.
turn thing,
Where is it?
right there.
It's your room. You should know. Is that better?
There you go. Yep, beautiful.
It's gonna get
Got
dark.
light. It's gonna get dark inside, but we'll be done by then. So
No, we won't. We're gonna take our time.
Take your time.
How do I'm really, guys, I'm telling you, I'm getting senile.
Can we mute this for a second so I can holler to them?
Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the Intent Unknown live chat with our co-executive producer Beth Rondo Deacon and me. I'm Terrence Gordon, and on the other line, running an echo is. You're gonna have to mute. There you go. On the other line, we have our co-producer Anita Sayago, that will be hosting and giving us some of the questions. So we just wanted to just have a real informal just chat about the production and what we've been doing with Intent Unknown, and hopefully you guys can get this on the replay. So take it away, Anita.
What's our first question?
Sorry, I'm trying to bear with me. I'm trying to get into the chat here. Sorry, I'm trying to bear with me. I'm trying to get into the chat here.
Sorry.
So the first
So the live
question-
comedy show on Intent Unknown is starting right now.
The first question she had for us, because I kind of looked them over a couple minutes ago, was how we decided to write this psychological thriller. What brought it to our attention? And I'm going to let Terrence answer that.
Well, a couple of things that come to mind really, and the first was the location. You know, they always say location, 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 and having come out here and seeing the location that the deacons have out here on this bluff always looked like something that you can do something very cinematic with. You know, that it always has this creepy feel, this kind of like mystery to it. So I've always thought, man, this would be an excellent place. And my cinematographer, Deuce Benny, some people know him as Troublesome, Devon Smith, sort of agreed with that. That, man, you know, it'd be really cool to do a film out here, a contained thriller. And you know, so I expressed that to Beth, and she woke up one morning with a concept for us to be able to do. You know?
Yes. To go a little further with that, Anita's second question was, what's the message behind Intent Unknown? So when we decided to write this, as a teacher, I wanted to look at, of course, having people learn something, but not by lecturing, but through film. So I thought about teenagers, since I teach teenagers, and what's important to them. And as we all know, they love social media. So I thought, we've got to bring social media into this in some manner. So we decided to do the survey on social media, where the 4 students had to find their subject. And obviously the lesson learned there is that you don't want to meet people on the internet and bring them to your house. You know, you see what happens throughout the movie. Additionally, I think of everything going on in the world, and, you know, people seem to make judgments about how people react in different situations. Well, in reality, do we really know how we're going to react in a situation, or the person next to us? I think about the scene where Luna was held down by Harold, and everybody runs out of the room. Nobody stayed back and helped Luna. Should they have? Probably, but we don't know how we're going to react in a situation. And there's many instances of that in the film. Another one was when Harper and Luna were looking at the needles. And remember, Luna said at the beginning of the movie that she could never kill anybody. So what does she do with that needle? She looks at killing herself because she doesn't want to give the needle to Amelia. Well, that's the way she was looking at it. Harper was looking at it, well, if I give it to Amelia, she has a 50% chance of living. If I give it to Luna, she's going to die. So she was looking at it, being a prodigy, she was looking at it more mathematically, more statistically. So throughout the movie, we have all kinds of instances like that.
Okay. And one thing I should point out with this is There's some spoiler alerts in here,
Mm.
and we should make mention of that. So if you haven't seen the film yet, then you might want to plug your ears every so often because we don't want to spoil it for you. But there are a couple spoiler alerts inside of in this discussion.
All right, our next question from Anita. Independent filmmakers often involves tight budgets and resource constraints. How did you approach financing and production logistics for the film? That's for you, Terrence.
Well, this is a self-funded independent film that we funded together in getting this done, and then also pulling in resources because having a production company, we were able to do that and leverage relationships. So we were able to do this film on a tight budget, and I won't say what the budget is, but it was a tight budget, but also have the ability to utilize very high end equipment at the same time as though it was a high budget film in that sense. So we're shooting on digital cinema cameras at high end. We're shooting on anamorphic lens that costs ridiculous amounts of money. We're shooting on everything that you're going to use in a high end feature production. So we brought in Deuce Benny production on that, and we were able to do that. So there's ways that we were able to cut costs. Obviously, utilizing the Deacon's home, we didn't have to pay for that. So because we're right here, matter of fact, the actors even stayed here, and so the production. So not only did we shoot here, everyone just sort of camped out here. So that was extremely helpful. We were able to do a lot of different areas of cutting costs.
Speaking of our home, I got to tell you, since we filmed this, some nights are pretty scary, especially if I'm home alone. There's many different entrances into our house, and sometimes this loft area where we're sitting right now, I look out there, I look out the window here, and I think, man, is there somebody sitting out there staring at me?
Yeah,
I
Harold is out there up on the
Harold's
hill
Harold's out on
with
the
his
hill.
binoculars. You
I
know,
can't shake that now. It's kind of a creepy feeling I have. So, all right, next question. As director, what role did you play in shaping the creative direction of the film?
all right. Well, as a director, obviously you're guiding the ship, and it was important for me to be able to execute, the writing vision, which was both Beth and myself, and so we wrote the film together and wanted to make sure that we're on the same page and that we're executing the same film. And so that wasn't very difficult to do in that respect because we had lots of discussions back and forth. We wrote scenes in alternating, even with Professor Nielsen's scene, Jeff Deacon wrote his own piece on that. And, we discussed with him, what we were looking for. And he just did a fabulous job of putting that together and playing that role inside of it and writing it exactly the way that that character needed to have it. So we're all making the same film in that respect. So I think from a director standpoint, obviously there's challenges in directing any project, any film that you do, but having the vision, um, I think that was a collaborative effort. They always say that the director is the author of the film, and that's how they used to say it from old school directors guild and so forth. But I feel like it was a collaborative effort of the multiple visions put together in one.
All right, next question's for you again. Independent films often face unique distribution challenges. What plans are in place for getting this film in front of audiences, and how do you anticipate it will be received?
Okay. Is that for me or you want to take that one?
Um, we can each teach part of it. You go ahead and start.
Okay. All right. Well, as far as executing, we certainly didn't want to go the traditional route. We wanted to take a more grassroots approach and utilize community, and because we had leverage to that to Beth's background within teaching and having large followings in different social media platforms, and as well as people that that she's taught for over 30 years. So I wanted to take that approach of the marketing, and also we didn't go the traditional OTT platforms right at this moment. We are going to do so further down, but right now we built our own platform, and we're utilizing the power of community. And
Yes, and I want to give a big shout out to Northern Michigan University, who invited us up for an event and has been outstanding in helping us to advertise Intent Unknown. Also, the historic Ironwood Theater, where we had our premiere. We had a great turnout. We had a wonderful question and answer afterwards. And we've been just getting a lot of support. And I feel really good about that. I'm so grateful how supportive people have been. So by grassrooting it, I think that is the best route for us to go at this point, because we do have a lot of support and many people understand how difficult it is to film independent films, and they want to support, and I think that's awesome.
yeah, I'm very excited about doing this new approach to it, and it's showing results, and we're building that 1,000 fans
Yes,
scenario.
and we're going to
So
get there because we've got wonderful support. And how can people help support us? Please just keep sharing it. That's all we ask.
yes,
All right, next question.
next
From a
question.
producer's perspective, what do you believe sets this film apart from other psychological thrillers, both independent and mainstream? I would say if you don't pay really close attention, you miss things. So it's like right at the beginning of the movie, when you see the newspaper articles, you learn from something from that will help you later on in the movie. Just like when you see all the photos Harold has in his bedroom, that's going to tell you something also. So I guess how this one sets you apart, it's not a horror thriller. It actually centers around the trolley dilemma, but you really have to pay attention and think, or you'll miss quite a bit. So that's what I think sets it apart. We wanted people to have to think a little bit.
Yep, I would concur with that. Look, from the very very beginning.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised by the Northern Michigan University showing, where we did have a lot of questions from different individuals about the psychology of it, and and if you watch the film a second time, you pick up on a lot of things that you wouldn't see in the first time. I can guarantee you
Yeah.
on that. Starting from the newspaper articles, as Beth just mentioned, if you can, if you can't read the fine print, but read the headlines, right? It gives you a pretty good idea of what's to come with the characters, what has happened. It gives you the backstory of the film.
And being a teacher also, I enjoyed asking questions. And when we were doing the premiere in Ironwood, we had the question and answer afterwards, and we had such great participation. But we did stump people, and that's, to me, that's good, because they had enough interest that many of them told us that they're going to go back and watch it again. So I was pretty psyched about that.
Yeah, yeah, that was I think that was something I wasn't expecting as much. Well, to the question about how do you think people would receive it, from the earlier question, you have no idea, because film is so subjective and it relates differently to everyone that sees it. But so far, I think that this one has been received well.
So Terrence, next question's for you. Were there any particularly memorable moments or challenges you encountered during the production process? How did you navigate them?
Hmm. Challenging. I mean, there's a lot of challenges. Like, one was weather. The weather
Oh,
kept
yeah.
changing on us. Seasons kept changing on us. Um, you know that provided quite the challenge for us. We had one of your favorite scenes that we almost had to. We were supposed to do it outdoors, but it turned out that we moved it into the basement, and and that was a good move. Matter of fact,
Mhm.
I think aesthetically that really made bring up the tension in the film, in some ways. And the cinematographer and the camera crew, I think they enjoy that because now they can really play with the lighting aspect of the film and give it a little bit more intensity. So I think that was one challenge, but we overcame that pretty quickly. Um, you
I have
know,
one.
which one you have?
I was thinking about Eric Roberts, you guys. I see Anita mentioned the airline delays.
Oh yes.
Eric flew in from Korea. He had been in Korea, I believe, for a couple weeks, and he flew into LA. His wife met him at the airport, switched out his luggage, and he got on a plane to Dallas, and that plane got delayed. And with that delay, he ended up not getting into to Fort Madison until 1:30 in the morning, and we started filming at 8 a.m. And he was on top of it all, and I was just very impressed by that.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he even made a joke to sort of stress his wife out with the guitar that he's not gonna make it in.
Yeah,
But
good
yeah,
people.
it
Yeah.
was. That I'm sure that was challenging, but that just shows the kind of work ethic that he has in showing up and to be on set and yeah, I mean that worked out.
And you know what else I loved about Eric Roberts is the fact that, some of my students helped behind scenes and some of my students were actors. And Eric took the time to talk to them and he treated them as an equal. And that really impressed me. He even sat down with one of my students and played a couple games of chess with him. And I thought that was pretty cool. He's just a really down to earth person. Very, very social, just a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed working with him. I wonder if
Mhm.
he dies in this movie.
Hmm. I
Hmm.
wonder if he does.
I wonder. Eric plays Dr.
Should he
Drew.
die? Should he?
Has
Did
he
he die?
died? I don't know.
I don't know. I guess you have to watch and find out.
You're gonna have to watch the next one to find out.
Wow. Okay, what questions do we have
Okay,
popping
the
up there
next
on
one.
the
Oh,
chat? Um,
okay, so our next question. What lessons have you learned from producing this film that you'll carry forward into your projects? I think for me, because I'm a workaholic, I have a really hard
she
time
is, y'all.
I have a really hard time with people that aren't. And I think I set my expectations too high sometimes. And that was really, really difficult for me. So I think that what I learned is not to always have those high expectations and to understand that we all work differently, but in the end we all come together and we make it happen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think most of the creatives on the film, have a pretty strong work ethic. But there is breathe time when you're doing a film. If you just keep going, 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 and you don't take a break, especially like in post production, you don't really have a chance to kind of digest it and then come back. And you run into getting like a tunnel vision on in the post production, which is not good. Right. So sometimes you have to kind of step away from the production and then come back. So that has been challenging, I think, because we all wanted things to happen faster in some ways, but we put in I don't know, probably 1,300 hours of
Yeah.
post production editing, and dealing with um, even the things that you don't plan on, such as glitches within software.
Yeah.
DaVinci is kind of like a real industry standard, and that sort of even that provided a challenge.
Yeah. And I think also the fact that, our main actors are in college and they're on spring break when we filmed. So we are kind of, um, we had a deadline we had to make. And that at times got difficult, especially with the cold weather. Of all times, we filmed last March and it happened to be the coldest week in Iowa. I mean, I remember we were filming the scene where Elam's walking down the road, and Terrence is like, "We're getting one take on this." He goes, "My hands are frozen." It was so cold; it was like 0 degrees, and we were outside, and it was tough. But you know what? We did it, and everything turned out great.
Yeah, I mean, Julianne was a trooper on that.
Very much so.
She's wearing just nothing but a blouse and a pair of jeans, and as Beth said, it froze my hand and the camera because it was that frigid. I don't know how many degrees below zero it was, but it was cold, so we took one take. That was it.
Yeah, and Julianne also, we weren't gonna change what she's wearing. We said, "You could put a jacket on." She said, "No, I've already been inside. I didn't have a jacket on inside. I can't have a jacket on now." She really was awesome with that.
Yeah, she was about the craft
Yes.
and continuity.
All
So
right, next question. What excites you most about the independent filmmaking landscape today, particularly within the realm of psychological thrillers? That was a question for you, Terrence.
you sure that one's for me?
Your name's on it.
um, well, well, I do like the genre of psychological thrillers,
It's the number
and
one genre, right,
and it
Terrence?
is one of the number ones.
Yeah.
Even though for me, my best genre is to do with espionage, but I think it's just doing films like Intent Unknown, right, where you get to kind of push the envelope with the questions, where we question our own morals, where we able to challenge an individual. For me, it's not about how many times I can make you jump out of your skin, and that's good. I mean, that's the entertainment part, but I like the psychology within the characters. So trying to build in all that nuance in character, that's what I'm pushing for. And I feel like when we get to Intent 2, I think you're going to start to see a lot more of that written into or scripts.
Mm.
We're going to pay a lot more attention to that.
We want every project we work on, we want it to have meaning. We're not just doing it to doing it. There's something behind it. And that's really important to us.
Absolutely.
So, all right, next question. It's about the premiere. You recently premiered Intent Unknown. How did it feel to release your first film that you produced and wrote alongside Terrence? It was the best feeling in the world. And what made it so exciting for me was the huge turnout we had at the Ironwood Theater. So the support and watching these actors, many of them new actors, getting some attention and people and with the questions and answering, telling them how great of a job they did. That's just like the best feeling in the world. Ricky Bartlett, who is a double amputee, played Harold, and he nailed his part. It was just outstanding. And to be able to show that he's a double amputee, but he can still take a lead, and he did an incredible job with it. So I love that about it the most. And again, all the support we have gotten.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think for me, just there are a lot of new actors, new faces inside of here, and to be able to give them an enjoyable experience, they all worked hard in their own rights, in their own way, and I think that to be able to have that little bit of time to be able to just sit back and enjoy the film, and you know to be able to just let them feel their recognition, I think that was great for me. And also for Beth having her first film into this foray, I think that was good to be able to see that.
So I want to tell you, the first night we started filming, I had asked one of my students if he could play young Harold. He had never acted before, and he's in the scene where he watches his mother and father die, and his sister. Well, when he did that scene, the boy that played it really had trouble doing the facial. He just couldn't get into it. So Terrence, after a little while, maybe 15, 20 minutes, laid on the floor next to him and walked him through it. And I thought that was really special. He never raised his voice ever during this whole process. And there was some tense moments, but he kept everyone calm. And that really impressed me. And that student, I think, given another opportunity, would come back and work with us again. And that's what this is about. So when I saw him do that the first night, I knew that we would have an awesome production. And I love that. I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to work with him.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I try to conserve energy because film does suck a lot of it, and so I'm very careful about how I spend that energy. And as far as new faces, as we call it, breaking new faces into the industry, sometimes you have to just go the extra mile to be patient with them because I want their experience to be good so that they can come back and do it, because if they have a bad first experience, and you've heard this many times in different things, sometimes people won't return to the craft. This even happens with directors. Sometimes with their first directing experience, they'll have a bad experience. So it was important for me to be able to make sure that everyone felt comfortable and try to set the tone and the mood as best as I can.
And I got to tell you, Amy Gully, who helped with she was in charge of all the makeup and hair. She did a phenomenal job also. And what I loved about her, she was never negative. No matter how tense everything got, she was always so positive, and she brought that on set, and that made a huge difference. And it was fun watching that too. She's an incredible person, and we can't wait to work with her again also. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that really did lend
yes.
to work in this
And
here,
Noel, our little
so
Noel, I
Noel,
love Noel. He
our
did the
camera
sound,
department,
yeah,
you know,
and Dope,
Dope with the
yeah,
cameras,
yeah.
working, troublesome, the cinematography.
They're incredible.
They worked hard. I'm sure we tested their patience
Yes,
plenty, but
long days.
um, you know, but uh, they helped us deliver on this here,
Yeah.
and so definitely worth mention. Professor Nielsen, working hard, wearing 12 different hats on there, and running to make sure that everybody has everything, and that was a lot of work as well, and very appreciative of all that he's delivered, and everyone,
Yeah,
even Megan did a lot of
yeah,
stuff. She helped, not only did a cameo inside the film, but also in post production, helping us to go over some of the material, and some of the continuity, and try to catch a few different things that might be missed during tunnel vision. So that I think everyone, I mean,
you
there's
know, when
people I'm
you
not even mentioning.
yeah, like the board, that beautiful board that was made up in Harold's room, Katie Geltz and Annalisa, who's one of the actors, and Louis all got
Yeah,
together. They sat on the floor and they worked on it, and it turned out absolutely beautiful. So shout out to all of
yeah.
them
Shout out to
also
all of them for their
for their
contribution
hard work. Yes,
and putting inside, and
we're very grateful to everyone.
yeah, and
It was just a lot of fun.
yeah, it's a collaborative effort, and that's how film should be.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's always somebody at the helm that has to steer, because and you want to make sure everyone's working on telling the same picture, making the same film. But I like it.
Mm.
It was a good experience. Every film you do is always different. The experience is always different, even if you're working with the same people. And
All right, I believe that's all the questions Anita had for us. But now, as a teacher, I have some questions I'm going to leave you with. I'm not going to tell you the answers. I'm going to leave you with them. If you've watched the movie, you probably know the answers. And if you don't, maybe you'll go back and watch it again. So, question number one: how old do you believe Harper was when Harold started to stalk her? How old would you say she was? Number two, where did you learn that Harold lost his legs? You learned it somewhere in the movie. Where was that? Before you even met him. Number three, when the students walk in for the first time, what do they do different than when Harold walks in the house to meet them? After he's met them, he walks in the house. What is different about his entrance than theirs?
Mhm.
And also, who was in the box? Who died? Did Dr. Drew die? Did Harold die? Did Elam die? And how do you know? So, if you believe they died, how do you know they died? Or if you don't think they died, how do you know they didn't? If you really watch, you would know. You'd be able to tell me which one of them died. What else,
Okay.
Terrence? You give a question.
Um, yeah, that is
Aren't teachers
that.
off on weekends? That's
Yeah, teachers are off a week.
I want you guys to
Teachers are
think.
never off.
Yeah.
Not in Beth Deacon's class. Um, uh, yeah, no, those are some really good questions. There's, like I said, there's a lot of things you can miss on the first time around of the film, but just go and paying attention, and you'll see a lot of. surprises.
Another question: how many levers were pulled
Yeah.
throughout that movie? How many levers were pulled? Think about that. And there's a lot, and I could go on, but I don't want to hear that. I'm being too much of a teacher. So you guys go ahead, think about those questions. If you have questions for us, you can. Where can they send their questions to us for with their answers?
They can send them to beth.deacon.author@gmail.com.
Yeah, so if you have questions,
or-
Anita, if you put my email address in the chat, it's beth.deacon.author@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your answers. And if you have any questions that you're not asking this evening, just email me and I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah.
And we are very, very grateful for everybody's support and the
Yes.
sharing of the film. So,
Yes, and shout out to all the associate producers as well that has helped in different ways in sharing the links.
yep.
Um,
Nancy Gordon,
yeah,
Anita Seago,
yep, yeah, Nello Raphael,
yep, Nello,
Arlington Gordon,
Keith,
Keith,
Katrina,
Katrina,
Jody
Jody
Marie.
Marie,
We are
um,
very, very grateful for
yeah,
all your help.
Tara Renee,
Mhm.
and Adrian Mazzone.
Yes.
So everyone that has helped in some way to sharing, whether it's articles, putting it out on IMDb, rating. So please rate the film when you guys go out there, and and rate it honestly, right? We're not saying, oh, go out there and put a 10 if you don't
Yeah,
feel
we
it's a
don't want
10.
that.
Just rate it
Just
honestly,
rate
right?
it.
We're thick skinned. We know where anything falls short, and we just know that the next film's gonna be better because that's what we do. We intend to do better. And also, right here on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribing because we're going to put a lot of behind the scenes, as we go forward, announcements and different things. This would be a good place to be able to get some of that information. So subscribe, share with your friends and family. All right, don't keep this all to yourself. Make sure you share it, and yeah, and just look out for the next one because we're gonna be working on that very soon.
And you know what else we're going to do is between Terrence, Anita, and I, we're going to write a little book about this experience and how we can help other independent filmmakers from what we learn. I think that'd be really interesting. So we're
Yes.
trying new things like the university, libraries, the premiere we did in that, the grassrooting. I think we're going to do a little crowdfunding for the next one also. Since we have the first one done, we thought maybe we could do some crowdfunding for the next two for the trilogy. But we want to put something together that will help other people that are struggling to finance their movies. So that's to come too.
Yeah, certainly. And Beth's been doing some mentoring through the Northern Michigan. I've done some screenwriting courses as well, and we're going to be putting together some more filmmaker programs. And so people that might be interested in that, send emails to Beth or to myself or to Anita, and we'll see what we can do. But we are putting together some programs of or knowledge of filmmaking.
Anything we can do to help anyone. So that's what we're about. So
Yep.
thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Anita, thank you so much for helping us there with the chat.
Anita, thank you.
We love you. And I hope everybody has a fabulous night.
Yes. All right.
Bye-bye.
We're out.
Peace. Peace out.
Peace out.